Hey there everyone, I hope y'all are all having a fantastic day. The reason I wanted to make this video today is because I feel like the majority of folks out there in the market, at least a lot of folks out there, at least newer people, have a very terrible mindset when it comes to the market. Now, I want to start this video off by saying nothing worth having is ever given out. It takes blood, sweat, and tears to get anything that you'll ever want in this world. So, because of that, there's some pain that each of us have to go through to get to where we want to get to in the rest of our lives. Now, the stock market has been a really rough place lately, and recently I did that $100 account challenge with my buddies, and during that challenge I had to go through some things that I really hadn't had to go through in quite a long time. My emotions started to dictate my decisions, and after doing that challenge I had a better understanding of what the majority of newer traders are going through in the market, just because that's something that I haven't had to go through in a while. So what I've been seeing out in the market right now is people that are incredibly scared, people that are afraid to see the future, and they have no clue what's coming. Now, I'm patient, I'm calm, and I'm very content with the situation that's happening right now. I find it very fascinating that the market's dropping like it is. I'm using it as quite a big learning opportunity, and I would hope that each one of you out there would do the same. But the challenges we each have to go through in the market can be quite different. I mean, the amount of money I have versus how much you have can be quite different. The amount of income you have versus the amount of income I have can be quite different. And because of that, there's a lot of different situations that can play out for each of us. And I do want y'all to take that into account for this video, because I think the market has been incredibly fearful. Everyone out there is terribly scared. They have no clue what's going on. At least that's what it looks like. Everyone to me seems like they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off. And it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. A lot of people have been selling, even though the market's been going down. Companies have been getting to better valuations, at least in my opinion. And people are selling, people are scared, the market keeps going down. And at least, last week we had a red week, the week before that it was a green week, and then this week is kind of up in the air, to be honest. But all that being said, the insane prices that companies are trading at right now, the insane valuation shows me that people are so fearful out in the market right now that they're just selling. They're like, I don't want to deal with the pain. It hurts too much, which is absolutely a terrible decision. You have to cut out making decisions like that. You have to cut out that thought. You can't do that, okay? If you're just buying because you think someone else is going to buy the shares for more later, that's speculation, okay? What I do, what is real investing, is looking for undervalued companies, okay? Now, a lot of the times companies get undervalued because of bad news, because people are scared, because people don't like being in those industries, okay? I mean, one example, take cannabis right now, okay? Massive industry in the future, and everyone's been selling off during this time. Everything that's been happening, I don't think that that's gonna destroy that industry, okay? It might hurt it for a little while. It might delay some progress, but at the end of the day, that's still gonna be an insanely huge industry in the future, and now it's selling for pennies on the dollar of what it's gonna be worth in the future. I mean, of course, you need to do research into each company, but when you look at it, there are these massive discrepancies in what these companies should be worth and what they're trading for. So basically the way I look at investing, and the reason that I am so calm and I'm not so scared, is because the way I envision the market, my mindset, my mentality about the way the world works, at least the way the stock market works, and at least the way America works, okay? So it's very simple what I do, okay? If it's a great company out there, it's a company I love, and it's at a price that I love, I buy. If it gets cheaper, I buy more. That's basically the simplicity of it. The more it goes down, the more I buy. Now, as an investor, the bare minimum that you have to be able to do is buy companies when no one else wants them. I mean, if everyone already wants those companies, then it's already going to be a lot of the news, a lot of the information, a lot of the future. It's already going to be priced into the stock, okay? I don't know how long you've spent just sitting and thinking to yourself, but following the crowd is dangerous. It's very dangerous whenever you're being when you're trying to be a stock market investor. And it honestly, it makes no sense whenever you're out trying to outperform the average. You can't follow the average and then be better unless you're hoping to get lucky. And then if you're hoping and you want to be lucky, that's not what it means to be a stock market investor. You have to be strategic and you have to find opportunities where other people don't see them. Okay? If other people don't see them, those stocks are going to be lower priced. You're going to get better deals. And that means they're overlooked by other people. Other people don't want them because they don't know. They don't know what you know. And that is where we get our edge, our advantage in the stock market. As the folks that do the research, we're the ones that get to dig in, find out the important stuff, and then make decisions based on it. That's our job. There are really two reasons why someone would be selling in this moment of a massive downturn and where the future looks pretty bleak. And the first reason would be because people think that the market would never come back. And I tend to think that that's absolutely absurd. The market's definitely going to come back. At least in my opinion, that is absolutely my opinion. Nothing I'm going to say here is investment advice. But people who think that the market's going to end are selling out. And in that case, if they really do believe that, then that's the perfect thing for them to do. They should sell out and they should never get back in if they have no faith in the free market system that America has going and basically the rest of the world has going. Now, the second reason is because they are thinking that they can get in the market at a lower price. So basically they're thinking they can sell high and then buy low, and then they'll get in at a better price and then they'll just ride it up. Now, historically speaking, this has been a terrible idea. And I spoke about in my first video that I made about the stock market why this is such a terrible idea. On that topic, I would recommend each one of you out there go and watch my first 3 videos about the stock market because it'll make everything in this video make way more sense to each of you. Okay, so the way I look at the market, which is why I feel so comfortable about the way I invest, is now let's say you had a car. Let's say it was this car, okay? And this car was selling for $200,000. And then there was this car on the other side, the exact same car selling at $100,000, okay? Now, which car would you rather have? They're the exact same car, it just went on sale, $100,000. Now, which would you rather buy? The answer is quite obvious. You'd much rather buy the cheaper car, because why not? Then you have money to go buy, I don't know, another one. So because of that, that's basically the way I look at the market. Instead of cars, it's stocks, and whenever the prices go lower, I get what I want at a discount. And when I get what I want at a discount, I keep on buying, and I keep on buying, and I don't stop until they get to prices that I believe aren't worth buying anymore, okay? Now, that perspective is allotted to me because of my investing strategy. Now, one thing I find quite painful about the market is a lot of you out there, not a ton of you watched my first 3 investment videos, and I would hope that you would, but even if you did, you would find it very difficult to actually follow the plan if your mindset wasn't fully in it. And that's why in those videos, I recommend that you practice with a very small amount of money. You get confident in my strategy. Now, in this potential case where the market has dropped so low and it's so dramatic and it's a very different situation than honestly I've ever been in the market. But because of that, now would be a rough time to try it out. But I would think you would find it absolutely fascinating how much money you're gonna make if you do the research that I say in my first 3 videos that I do. If you do the research I do, you're honestly gonna find great companies. Now, not all of them, you're not gonna be 100% right. I'm never 100% right. I actually had a company I own drop dramatically through this thing, and it's very unlikely that they'll ever come back. And because of that, I had to learn some things. I learned quite a bit about that situation, and I'm gonna take that into my next investments. Now, that's why I say, don't ever invest more than you're willing to lose, okay? If you invest more than you're willing to lose, you're gonna trade very scared. Your emotions are gonna influence your opinions even more. And the more your emotions influence your actions, the worse investor you're gonna be. But I do understand that it's very, very natural for people to get scared whenever their accounts are dropping to the floor and they're losing a whole bunch of money. I get it. It is tough. Once you begin to feel the fear, you should know in that exact moment, you should realize that that is your time, that's your signal to go and do more research. Now, if any of you are out there selling because you're scared, don't. Sell because something changes in the market. Now, if you have no reason to sell and you sell because you're scared, you're absolutely ruining your mind for the future, okay? If you destroy your mind to where you tell yourself, when I'm scared, I sell. And when you do that, you're just gonna create a negative feedback loop in your mind that tells you every time you get scared to sell. When really, what I do and what I would recommend anyone out there do is if you're feeling scared, then do more research. Go look into the company more, look into the industry more, look into the competitors, look into the product, look into the service. The more you look into the company, the more comfortable you'll feel with that investment. And the more comfortable you feel with an investment, the more willing you will be to continue holding that investment or cut that investment out of your portfolio. And basically it will just make you more confident in making the decision that, hey, no, this is a terrible stock, this is a bad stock, and because of that, I don't want to own it anymore. Now, there's a quote I read by Warren Buffett not too long ago that roughly said that whenever stocks drop, whenever companies' valuations decrease, that is your time as an investor to buy America's future at a discounted price. Now, I probably butchered that quote, but basically he's saying exactly what I said in the car example, okay? Whenever you buy a company, if it goes down and you get to average down, you're basically just adding to the potential profit that you could make in the stock whenever it does go to the price target that you have envisioned for that company. Now, I'm not saying your price targets are always going to be perfect. Mine rarely are. But if I'm roughly correct and I don't try to sell at the top, I've historically, at least the past 4 years I've invested, done extremely well. Now, I don't invest fearfully, and I try to stay as calm as I possibly can about investments. And one of the reasons I'm able to do that is because I don't have too much money invested. Now, too much money invested, that's totally up to you, but I would recommend you end up in the position that I'm in through trial and error if that's what it takes. Because once you get to the mindset I'm at, you don't listen to outside sources the same way, okay? You hear everything, but you only listen to some things. And that's something I would tell you to be very careful about, because the majority of things you hear aren't going to be all too useful. And the things that are useful are going to be hidden among a plethora of terrible information. Now, I would like to think that on this channel, I provide a great, phenomenal place to where there's a ton of great information. Now, obviously, great information for me isn't always going to be great information for you, and I totally understand that. But I would hope that there are some things that you could learn from my videos, because really, what I've done in my videos, not in my trading challenge videos, but in all my other videos, including this one, is I've looked at the mentality of the majority of folks in the market. Now, people that have invested years and years and years, decades longer than I have, even decades longer than I've been alive, specifically Warren Buffett, Bill Ackman, Peter Lynch. All these people I find fascinating, and I find their investment strategies fascinating. And what I've done is tried my best to mimic their strategies in our current time. Now, because I'm younger than them, I take on slightly more risk. Now, I take on the amount of risk that I'm willing to take on, and that's why I'm not fearful, okay? If you're fearful in the market, it means you're doing something wrong. If you're doing something wrong, that likely means you need to do more research and you need to learn more about investing. Now, if you need to learn more about investing, I would recommend you go check out my first 3 videos. But I would recommend not only you do that, I would recommend you go watch all the interviews with all of the incredible investors who have made insane amounts of money over the past 50, 80 years. So if you do that, I believe you will feel way more confident in your abilities in the stock market. And once you learn more about those great investors, and once you learn more about the history of the market, I think you'll come to find the same thing I did. And that was the fact that the majority of the time, the nature of the market is still the same. The behavior is still the same. No matter what the specific mumbo jumbo is going on in the market, the actual human behavior is quite similar throughout all the historical crashes. And a lot of the times you can read this and you can play this. Another thing that I've never talked about on this channel is you can read and try to analyze the way hedge funds move their money around. Now, in a video coming out soon, I will discuss that more as well. But once you understand more about historically what's happened in the market, you'll feel much more comfortable. One more thing that makes me feel super comfortable in the market is that whenever I buy a company, actually before I buy a company, I look and I think for hours about all the things that could possibly go wrong with that company, okay? And in the case that one of my stocks did get destroyed during this crash, everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. And I didn't sell out because it was one of my speculation plays. I have those because it makes investing in the market more fun, and I chose to put only a small portion of my account into that stock because I knew it was fairly speculative, okay? And those are risk aversions that I would hope that you do in your account. Your riskiest stock should probably not be the biggest company in your portfolio, okay? Just a little piece of potentially maybe good advice, who knows. But basically, the market can seem super overwhelming and complicated, but the nature is very similar no matter what happens, okay? And because of that, I feel really confident in the area that I'm in the market. Now, the sectors I've learned about, I've learned a whole lot over the past 4 years that make me feel much more comfortable, and it's really tough to put them in just a few videos, okay? But I hope in the next few videos that I put out, I inform you much better as to other things that I've learned, little tidbits of information that possibly could help you out there. But I don't want you to get overwhelmed. There's always something new to learn in the market, and because of that, you have to take your time. You have to be patient, and some of the times you're gonna make the exact same mistakes I did, and sometimes you're gonna make mistakes because no one has ever made those mistakes before. So basically, pay attention to market behavior, learn as much as you can, as quick as you can, and pay attention to the details with these companies, okay? It's the little things that might come back to bite you. It's the little things that give you the advantage over all the other investors in the market. That one thing that you know that the majority of folks don't know could give you just a little bit of an edge. And a week in the stock market can be an incredible advantage whenever you find a company that's undervalued before a ton of other retail investors do, or even before a ton of the hedge funds start buying into those companies. I believe right now is an incredible time to look at the market and to be an investor in the market, okay? I know a lot of people have sold out because they got too scared and then they sold all their positions and they basically gave up. Now, for those people, good luck. For the other people who are similar to me, I wish you luck as well. But I want you to look at the way the market's working, and I want you to look at it as a test, because that's really what it is. That's the way I look at it. I find it as a very interesting test of my abilities to hold my mind strong during an insanely difficult time where I'm losing thousands and thousands of dollars in potentially a week's time. It can be quite painful, and to be calm in that position can prove to you that you have a strength that will hold you true into the future, okay? It also tests your knowledge, okay? The more fearful you feel, that means the more research you have to do, just like I said a minute ago, okay? And because of that, that might mean that you have to do an insanely larger amount of research into a lot of the companies you own. And if that's the case, I hope you have the will to continue researching and buying companies that you find absolutely fascinating, companies that you love that are at incredible prices. Now, at the end of the day, I'm gonna be a net buyer into the future, okay? If I'm gonna be a net buyer into the next 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, if I'm gonna be a net buyer, why would I want stocks to go up? I'm getting stocks at worse deals. Now, of course, in 50 years, it's likely the companies that are going up the most aren't gonna be the companies now. And I will cycle those through my account and I'll eventually get to them. But the idea is, during this testing time, you prove to yourself that you have the ability to find incredible companies, and you have the ability to prove to yourself that your mind is strong enough to live through something like this. Now, if you can continue investing through something like this, you should be very proud, because a lot of people haven't. A lot of people have jumped out of the market, they've gotten scared, or they've just totally pushed it out of their mind because they don't want to look at it anymore. And for those, I mean, at least they still own companies, but if you're acting like that, likely you don't know enough about the stock market. Now, because I am a net buyer, I'm going to continue buying no matter what happens, right? And especially since these stock prices have fallen so dramatically low, it's mind-blowing to me. I mean, there are companies out there that have dropped 50, 60, 70, 80%, all companies that have fascinating futures that potentially could do very, very well in the future. Even companies that have been looked at as historically very safe in the market, you know, even those companies have been dropping. And I find that really interesting because, well, it gives me an incredible opportunity to buy them at a way better price. Now, anyone that wants to sell their shares of the companies that I love, please go ahead, because I'll just buy them right up. Now, to find incredible companies, of course, it can be difficult. And of course, it can take a lot of time. And I would recommend that you put in a lot of that time now during this testing period in the market, because in the future, I just have an odd feeling in my gut that the market is going to be much higher than it is today in 10 years from now. Because companies, they don't trade like this for very long. It's normally very few and far between that companies will trade at valuations this low. And while they are this low, take advantage of it. just like I am, if you have the money to do so. Now, when all's said and done, okay, I understand that there's gonna be some people out there who it's extremely hard for you to understand all of these things right now, and it's gonna be hard for you to grasp all this stuff immediately. There are two ways that I could recommend for you to look at this situation, okay? The first is what I basically said at the beginning of this video. To get anything that's worth having, like incredible returns in the future, you have to go through something painful. Now, this is something painful. And if you do good enough research, you should feel comfortable in the fact that it takes pain to get an incredible reward on the other side. Now, take the pain, absorb it, and let it fire you up to do more research. The second way to really look at it, which is more so the way I look at it, is I do so much research into each one of these companies that I buy. I do so much research into what's going on in that industry, everything about that company. And because of that, I have a prolonged feeling of being equipped with enough knowledge about these companies to know when is a good time to buy and when is a bad time to buy, okay? And currently right now with a lot of the companies I've been buying, I think it's just getting better and better out there. Now, maybe some companies you own aren't that great and maybe you're short on capital. If that's the case, then you might need to cut those positions that you don't love for the next 3, 5, 10 years. If you're not absolutely in love with them, right now is really not the best time to be buying companies that you're not in love with, okay? Now, I would recommend, not advice, but to be on the safe end, I would recommend you buy companies that have great balance sheets, have a lot of cash, don't have a lot of debt, that type of thing, okay? The more cash a company has, the longer they'll last in a prolonged time period of low sales, okay? And because of that, that's why I would say that's likely better for you and your future brokerage account. So to sum up this video, I just want to say, keep your mind strong out there, okay? This is nothing. The real world is much more painful than these slight little jabs that you're getting from losing a couple percent here and a couple percent there, all right? Now, I know that it is a bit more than just a couple percent, but you have to keep your mind strong. You have to think of it in the fact that imagine yourself in 10 years. Are you going to want to be the person that has lost, I don't know, 8% of 10% of your money to inflation? Or are you going to want to be the person that has grown your account a dramatic amount because you had the steadiness of will to keep on buying whenever others wouldn't? Now, I want you to take that into account and I want you to think about that. Because if your mind is weak, it's going to crack. It's going to break. You're going to get scared. You're going to run away. If you're going to run away, probably should just run away now because it's not worth staying in the market, okay? Now, I want to leave you with this. The best quote that I've ever heard in history about the stock market from Warren Buffett is, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. Now, I know a whole lot of people out there have been saying this quote, but to me, man, it hits me right in the chest, okay? Right now, everyone's fearful. Everyone's more fearful than they ever have been. It's incredible how fearful people are in the market right now. And because of that, it's my time to be greedy. Now, I'm going to keep on buying. If you want to keep selling, I'll keep buying your shares. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and keep killing it. You're a boss.